Good afternoon. Today I'm going to try to fix this magnificent beast, which is a Porche Cayenne that they just dropped at my uncle's place, and they said, hey, if you guys can do something, do something. So they're very vague about the details, but the car looks like it has seen some better days. Like a lot of those better days. Apparently, at some point, this magnificent beast caught on fire. So something happened here at the rear seat. There's some signs of fire up there. The seats here do not look very happy. But generally speaking, it doesn't look bad. So apparently this hasn't ran in actually God knows how long. Like if you look at the brakes, they look antique. And I'm going to start by making a few chapters as to how am I approaching this, because this is the first time. They just dropped it here yesterday. I let it sit. So now it warmed up a little bit, kind of looks slow. I'm guessing it has air suspension, just a random guess. So we're using our booster here. I'm going to boost it in a little bit. I'm going to put my charger to it so we can maintain our battery. I want to make sure that there's no shorts, and I'm going to probably show you how I'm going to do that. And that would be the beginning of a long journey, how to bring this back to operational state. Let's see, part one. Okay, so just to give you guys an idea of what we're doing here. So I have my booster, I have my charger set up, I plug that into power. I have about a volt on the battery, which kind of gives us hope that it might not be completely dead. One thing I will warn you about is this thing for some reason is not very happy, but I'll explain what we're doing here. I have my amp clamp connected around the positive that's good that I'm going to hook up, and I'm going to hook up now the negative. I'm going to see how much current is going through, because if this car caught on fire sometime, it's possible that some of the wires are going to be shorted. I don't want them catching on fire again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the current to see what amount of current am I getting when I connect my negative. And what? So, what did we see here? We have 12 amps. I am willing to believe that to be reasonable. We have lights and doors and random stuff open. I'm gonna go inside, making sure that nothing smells funky. Make sure nothing smells funky. The dash is lit up. I'm gonna take a look around just to see. I don't see the floor being on fire, which I think makes me think that somebody actually forgot something here or left something to burn. But okay, we are within what kind of makes sense. Okay, kind of makes sense here. Now we're down to about 9 amps. Our ignition's off. So 9 amps, I'm willing to believe it's possible are going into the other battery. I'm gonna hit my charger. My charger is not cooperating because it's intelligent, obviously. We're down to 5 amps, so I'm willing to believe this reasonable. We're going to continue with the next part. Okay, now our current stabilized, voltage is stabilized, seems like everything is doing fine. Now the first thing I'm really rooting for is that this seat would move. Obviously it's not going to move, but that's going to be a bitch to deal with. Anyhow, what's going on here now? We have the key, we have the push key here. I don't need that, so I had to figure out, I remember that there was a button to get it out, but so far we have no response from nothing. Let me get this key out from here. I'm going to put the original and we're going to see from there. All right. So, I had luck with the 4 flashers. The 4 flashers are working, which means that the BCM should be awake. Now, the key does not want to cooperate. I don't know if it comes out or not. We're not going to waste time on this. If the BCM is awake, so when the flashers are on, the BCM is awake. So next part is I want to try to communicate to it. So I plugged in my OBD and I realized that my OBD has no power. So the first question we need to answer in our journey of basically how to fix this car is going to be, where is the power for our OBD coming from? Now I already pulled out a diagram right here in Mitchell. I pulled out a diagram. Let me see if I can do this. So I pulled out a diagram and my pin 16 is supposed to be coming from fuse 12. Right there. You see? It's supposed to be coming from... damn it. Yeah, you're gonna bear with this. I have to learn how to do this too. So I have pin 16, which is supposed to feed power to our OBD. Now you're gonna notice as well there's another power going to the diagnostic connection that is supposed to go to pin 1. Now I suspect that neither of those is there, but I'm going to measure about this. But I'm interested in the one on number 16. That's the one I'm interested in. That's the one we need for our OBD to work. Everything else is extra. Only 16 is important. So part 1 of the exercise is we're going to go and find this fuse. Now on this Cayenne, I suspect that the fuse is going to be right there. I'm going to do a little bit of measurements, a little bit of calculation, and I will bring you guys back once I followed up with this. But so our first question of the day is, where is the power for our OBD? Why is our OBD not lighting up? Okay, so after a little bit of checking, I'm just still going through it. So all the fuses here are completely rusted out, and I noticed a fried fuse. And I fixed that. I change that fuse, and right now our OBD is live. So we got no VIN number. I'm gonna try to scan it to see what it's coming up with, but just to show you, so we have, oh, hey, we have ignition action here. Let's see if we're gonna get diagnostic, if we're gonna be able to connect. I have a bunch of stuff flashing. The seat still does not work. Has to be addressed most likely. But we have some lights. What do we have here? I have the handbrake light. I have some faults, some random stuff, but we have some good news. It appears that we actually made it in. Where can I put my scanner for this to make sense? I'll put it right here, I guess. That would make more sense. So next part is... So, first question we answered, we found a burnt fuse. Next question we're going to have to answer is, who's communicating, what are they saying, and basically what is going on. And we're going to run through that, and we're going to see what the scan's going to come up with. Meantime, I'm going to go make myself a little coffee right there. And I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back at the same spot. Our ignition is open, the same as before. I'm rescanning the car because my charger, my beautiful Mac Tools charger, which I love to death. I was advocating for this thing. I had it for a while actually, but it just slap this door. Okay, it decided to die, so I brought one of these RAMs I have here. People brought me to fix because they for some reason break all the time. And we have our booster cable going right outside out there, and now we have some solid and reliable power, which is very important for every electrician. That's why I tell people I like cars with batteries, with like decent batteries. Now we're doing our full scan, and off the top we are seeing a problem, which is no communication to the engine computer. So these first three, DME, no communication. So that would explain basically why would the car not crank? And then just for shits and giggles, I want to just make a point here. I have the brake pressed. I am trying to crank it and nothing is happening. I have a lot of lights on. Anyhow, so as we're going through our scan, our next objective becomes clear, and our next objective is going to be to have to find out why is our engine computer, there's the engine computer right here. Why is the engine computer not communicating? This gentleman right under my scanner. So this would be the next thing. I'm gonna let the scanner finish and we're gonna attack the engine computer. We're gonna take a look at the basics. We're gonna take a look at powers and grounds. And we're gonna find out what is missing and what does it need to communicate. Okay, so here we go with a little bit of logic. We've established that our engine computer is not communicating. Out of curiosity, I had this in mind, okay? If you look, this is our main relay. And the main relay will open power on all of these fuses here. You have power coming in and you have power coming out. On all these fuses here, all right? And just out of curiosity, I decided to see, hey, look, one of these fuses feeds our cam actuator, right there, 3 wires. Okay, so long story short, the logic goes that whenever the main relay opens up, it should feed power to this actuator, which means that if I backfeed power from here, it should be able to reach all around and eventually power up our engine computer. And if we do this test and the engine computer does power up, that'll explain that the main relay is not opening. Now, why is the main relay not opening is going to be the next question, but here is the test that we're doing. I have the cam actuator right down there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. And I'm probing that red and white wire, okay? And I have here my probe, and I'm doing this because I know what I'm doing. So obviously that's a bad idea if you have no clue what you're doing. And even if you think that you know what you're doing, it's probably a bad idea. So I'm going to point this right now. This is probably a bad idea. But going back to our experiment. Now, I decided to try this. Now, I'm going to scroll out of here. You can see that our ignition is still on, but our engine computer right now will not communicate. I already did this, which is the reason why I have data here, but you see our engine computer does not communicate. Let's go back down. Engine computer, no communication. Clicking in, no communication. But if I am to give power, listen to this. And now, if I enter my engine computer is actually awake. We have codes on the engine computer, and we have data stream. So that kind of suggests that our engine computer is actually alive. So right now I'm feeding it power from here. Now what's going to happen is as soon as I let go of the power, our engine computer is going to stop broadcasting data, and all these numbers are going to stop changing. If I give it power again, oh, there we go. You see, they time out. If I take out the power, they'll time out. So this test tells us that if our main relay opens up and we do get power on this branch, our vehicle should start. Well, I mean, that's a problem, but my guess is that that is the main problem going on here. So we are going to go after this relay. We're going to have to find out where does that relay actually lives. And we're going to have to do some checks. Why is this relay not opening? But what I want to start with, I want to start with, first of all, who is in charge of opening this relay? And who has to tell this module that this relay has to be opened, okay? So when you turn on the key, somebody tells the engine computer, yo, bro, we got to run. And then the engine computer is like, jumps up, puts on his pants, and turns on the main relay. And this is how the car starts. Now it happens really fast, so you don't really realize that, but that's what's happening. So now we got to find out why is nobody telling the engine computer that he should be getting his pants on. That's going to be the next step in the diagnostic. Okay, so long story short, I found the main relay. The main relay is right down there. You see the two red wires coming out. So there's three relays. The one in the middle is the main relay. So what I did is I jumped the main relay with the bypass wire, and now I do have power down on that actuator. That means that we do get power to the engine computer. That means that our engine computer is actually awake now, or should be. So now we have much less lights going on, much less chaos on the dash. And what I want to try is see if we're gonna crank. So I press the brake and we're cranking. Let's try this again. Well, I did try to crank. So I have another problem, something else is going on. But I don't know if you guys are gonna catch it on the video, but it did turn the engine over. So that's our next problem to start with. So we need to find out why is this main relay not working, and I think that will be the solution to our problem, because with the relay bypass that did try to crank, I'm gonna find out a little bit why it's not cranking as we speak, but it should be. It should be. We're gonna try. But yeah, this is the right direction. We need to find out why does this really not work. Okay, here where this kind of gets annoying and complicated, but I'll explain what I'm doing. So this is the main relay that we bypassed earlier and the car tried to crank. So now I'm going after where does this relay go. I've highlighted the path all the way till the engine computer. Now here it says main relay, that makes sense, but here it says terminal 30. You see, terminal 30 on this pin somehow makes sense. Now don't ask me how, but it somehow makes sense. Like, okay, fuck it, you might be right, that's a terminal 30. So what I did is, what I want to do now is I want to see, so I have my probe right now in this pin 1 that's supposed to be terminal 30, according to our diagram. My probe is connected right there, and we have nothing. Now the one interesting part I want to see is that we have 0 volts. So now I want to find a way to feed power into it. Hold on, let me put this right here and just fix my probes. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to feed power in there while feeding power here and see if the car will crank or start. Okay, so now we're feeding power. And we have nothing. Very interesting. Let me check the live data and see what this is gonna say. So basically right now I supplied a solid power from right there into that pin 30, into that terminal 30, pin 1. And now I want to see, first of all, I'm gonna switch off power, switch on power. I want to run a full scan and see what codes are we gonna have, as well as I want to see on the live data what is it gonna say that we're doing. So let me load this in. Let me see if I can fit in there. Now I'm gonna press the brake and try to crank again. I actually heard the fuel pump kick on, which I'm not sure if it's a coincidence or what's the story. But for the moment, I put this right there. And we're gonna see if we can talk to everybody. Let's go smart detection. Boom. So our engine computer is now communicating, which is a good sign. I have obviously other codes involved. So next step is I'm gonna let this run all the way, and as soon as this is done, we're gonna erase all the codes. We're gonna try to see what codes are gonna come back, and then we're gonna chase this terminal 30 problem on the engine computer. Okay, so back to this. Now I'm plugged into terminal 30. I did a little bit of research. I spoke to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT suggested, well, I'll show you something first of all in order for you to understand something. So this, like I showed earlier, is terminal 30. Like you can see in the video earlier that this is coming from the relay, but that's actually not correct. Okay, I did a little bit of research. I started poking around, I ended up realizing that all these fuses, I'm gonna see if I can show that, all these fuses are actually corroded inside. So if you look, the fuse looks okay, but they're actually corroded inside. All of these fuses have the same exact problem, except this little red one, that one is fried. So all these fuses are corroded inside. The whole fuse box is super corroded. But what's important is, I actually found out the right fuse, and the engine computer fuse is this one right here, the second one. So I've replaced a lot of these. I only have 10, so I'm replacing them with 10s, and I'm gonna deal with that later on. But for the moment, we actually re-established power to the engine computer. So our engine computer right now has power. So now I've changed 6 of these fuses. I'm very curious to see. I'm gonna press our brake, shut off our ignition, turn on ignition, and we're gonna try to crank it. Hey, lucky winner, it's running. Okay, so car started. We're gonna shut it off. We don't need it to run. I don't know if there's oil, I don't know if there's antifreeze, I don't know what's inside this car. But for part 1 of what we need to do is, we got it to run. So, I'll just do it again. Boom. So this is the main issue here. This fuse box right there is very corroded, and the fuses are not broken, they just corroded out. So now I don't know what we're gonna see about the rest of the stuff. This is the first time this car starts, but I've been here for what, about an hour, maybe 2 hours. I don't know, I'm not gonna keep in time. And we got this to start. So now we know that it is able to start. Now this is the first thing the customer wanted from us. Now I'm gonna quote him cleaning of that fuse box. I'm gonna try to spray it with some stuff. I have some deoxit, and that's a good cleaning. And I'm gonna work on what else we can do, and I'm gonna rescan the car to see what is it gonna say. And we're gonna call the customer, give him some good news, and ask him what else would he like us to do on this car. But so far we have little progress. We started nowhere and we actually got somewhere. And it's all about following simple logic. And it's not really complicated. Just like think constructively and think about simple building blocks. And you're gonna see that it's very, very easy. Okay, let me talk to the customer and see what is he gonna authorize from here. All right. So I spoke to the client at their body shop. So they told me, look man, that's all we need for now. Car runs and drives. They just asked me to make sure that the car actually runs and drives. Now I'm gonna sit inside. Oh man, because the seat is super close, so I'm very uncomfortable. But we're gonna go reverse. We have the reverse camera, and the car is going in reverse. Gonna put it in drive. We have, I guess, nothing illuminating here. It says D on the dash, and we are moving forward. I'll move a little bit more backwards, and we're gonna put it in park. So customer asked me to make sure about that, so we can make sure we're sure that the car does roll. It could be driven back and forth. I don't like how this looks, but it's not a problem for now. And I actually want to give credit to the customer, because when I spoke to them, they're like, yeah, we got you a new battery. So I gotta give them credit. They put a new battery, they had the negative disconnected, which is amazing. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. And they gave me there's some gas in the car, which is amazing. Like, I'm just gonna point out to everybody in the future, like the shittiest thing you can do to a mechanic is bring him a car with no battery or gas, and especially to an electrician. Because an electrician without electricity is it's like a hunter without a gun, you know? So, so far so good. They're happy. we got it started. And they're gonna pick it up from here. They're gonna figure out what to do with the seat. They asked me to just take a look electronically to see why is the seat not moving. I'm gonna do that off camera quick, just to confirm that the basics are there, because there is some signs of burnage under the seat. So we're gonna see about that. And I think that we're gonna be done. I rescanned the car. There are some codes, but for the most of it, we are on pretty good grounds. I'll run another full scan just now because I started it. So I'm gonna run another full scan. And as soon as this is done, basically I'm gonna pack it up and they're gonna send the tow truck to pick it up, and we should be Gucci. You know, they're gonna put everything, I guess, because I didn't really take anything apart. It was already pretty much, it came in like this. So I'll leave it as is, but as you can see, this car has seen better days, and I suspect that a lot of little stuff are gonna be corroded. This is gonna be a daily customer. But we're gonna see. So far so good. We have some limited success. We achieved what the client asked for, and we're done. I'm packing it up, wrapping it up, and calling it a day. And that's it. We're gonna see from here what is gonna be the future of this vehicle. But this is the reason why I made this video is because I think it's important to start teaching people about the way to think about these things. Because people over concentrate on the little details, they don't see the big ones, and the big ones are usually very easy to fix. That's why I've structured the video in the way it is. The first part is we need to establish communication, because without communication we're going nowhere. So that's why we started with the OBD. We found the burnt fuse, and then we had the clue that the engine computer is not communicating. So we went after that one, and we came right here. Now, where is this going to lead us from here on? I don't know. I suggested to the client, we need a new fuse box. We need to fix everything on it, because if this is going to be an electrical nightmare in the future. And that's it. We're going to see what is going to happen from here. And that's it. We have some old and active codes, but in general, there are some codes, some fan, there's that. There are some stuff to be done. But for the moment, they're happy. And if the client is happy, I'm happy. Thank you for watching. Okay, a little bit of extra going on. So the customer asked me to take a look as to why is the seat now working. So I managed to get out the controller right there, and the controller kind of looks okay. I took a look at the pins and I took a look at the power right there, and I noticed if you look at the big power connector right here, this big power connector looks kind of greenish. Now a lot of them do not look healthy. They look okay, but they're not healthy. But anyhow, so I figured out that everything here seems to be coming correctly. So next thing I did is I'm like, oh, let me take a look at this. So this is why the power seat is not working. So even though it looks actually fine on the outside, when I looked at it, it did not look so horrible. But as soon as I opened it, it was a completely different story. So this is one thing to know eventually for you guys to have in mind, is that this is the reason why power seat is not working. And this is a pretty common issue that I've seen many times before, which is why I went directly to where it is. But yeah, that's the reason why the power seat is not working.